Let it go through it. So how is your day going so far, dear devotees?
Good, Mataji.
Good, good, good. Okay, so we are broadcasting, so that's good. Welcome to the class, dear devotees on Zoom, as well as those on Facebook, as well as YouTube. We'll get started, and after this brief prayer to the spiritual master. Om Jnana-timirandhasya Jnananjan-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Sada Rupam Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padkamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parjana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya evacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Okay, so welcome again, dear devotees. Which verse are we going to do today?
6.32.
6.32, correct, for 500 points. And what we will do today is we will just slowly read the first 31 verses also, so that we continue to maintain our focus and maintain the connections between the various verses that are there in this chapter. So let me bring up chapter number 6 here, and we'll get going. Okay, bringing it up. Let me know when you're able to see this on your screen. All right. Where is my Zoom? Turn to meeting, share, and Dhyana Yoga. So just as a recap again, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, one who is unattached to the fruits of his work and who works as he is obligated is in the renounced order of life, and he is a true mystic, not he who lights no fire and performs no duty. Text 2, what is called renunciation? You should know to be the same as yoga, or linking oneself with the Supreme, or son of Pandu, for one can never become a yogi unless he renounces the desire for sense gratification. For one who is a neophyte in the eightfold yoga system, work is said to be the means, and for one who is already elevated in yoga, cessation all material. I think the screen is stuck here, sorry. Again, for one who is a neophyte in eightfold yoga system, work is said to be the means, and for one who's already elevated in yoga, cessation of all material activities is said to be the means. A person is said to be elevated in yoga when, having renounced all material desires, he neither acts for sense gratification nor engages in fruitive activities. One must deliver himself with the help of his mind and not degrade himself. Mind is the friend of the conditioned soul and is his enemy as well. For him who has conquered the mind is the best of enemies, best of friends. But for one who has failed to do so, the mind will remain the greatest enemy. For one who has conquered the mind, the supersoul is already reached, for he has attained tranquility. For such a man, happiness and distress, heat and cold, honor and dishonor are all the same. A person is said to be established in self-realization and is called a yogi or mystic when he is fully satisfied by virtue of acquired knowledge and realization. Such a person is situated in transcendence and is self-controlled. He sees everything, whether it be pebble, stone, or gold, as the same. A person is considered still further advanced when he regards honest well-wishers, affectionate benefactors, the neutral, the mediators, the envious, friends and enemies, the pious and the sinners, all with an equal mind. A transcendentalist should always engage his mind, body, mind, and self in relationship with the Supreme. He should live alone in a secluded place and should always carefully control his mind. He should be free from desires and feelings of possessiveness. To practice yoga, one should go to a secluded place and should lay kusha grass on the ground and then cover it with a deerskin and soft cloth. The seat should be neither too high nor low and should be situated in a sacred place. The yogi should then sit on it very firmly and practice yoga to purify the heart by controlling his mind, senses, and activities and fixing the mind on one point. One should hold his body, neck, and head erect in a straight line and stare steadily at the tip of the nose. Thus, with an unagitated, subdued mind, devoid of fear, completely free from sex life, one should meditate upon me within the heart and make me the ultimate goal of life. Thus, practicing constant control of the body, mind, and activities, the mystic transcendentalist, his mind regulated, attains to the kingdom of God or the abode of Kṛṣṇa by cessation of material existence. There is no possibility for one's becoming a yogi, O Arjuna, if one eats too much or eats too little, sleeps too much or sleeps too little. One who is regulated in his habits of eating, sleeping, creation, and work can mitigate material pains by practicing the yoga system. When the yogi, by practice of yoga, disciplines his mental activities and becomes situated in transcendence, devoid of all material desires, he is said to be well established in yoga. As a lamp in the mindless race does not waver, so the transcendentalist whose mind is controlled remains always steady in his meditation on the transcendent self. In the stage of perfection called trance or samadhi, one's mind is completely restrained from material mental activities by practice of yoga. Thus, perfection is characterized by one's ability to see the self by the pure mind and to relish and rejoice in the self. In that joyous state, one is situated in boundless transcendental happiness, realized through transcendental senses. Established thus, one never departs from the truth, and upon gaining this, he thinks there is no greater gain. Being situated in such a position, one is never shaken, even in the midst of greatest difficulty. This indeed is actual freedom from all miseries arising from material contact. One should engage oneself in the practice of yoga with determination and faith and not be deviated from the path. One should abandon without exception all material desires born of mental speculation and thus control all the senses on all sides by the mind. Gradually, step by step, one should become situated in trance and by means of intelligence sustained by full conviction, and thus the mind should be fixed on the self alone and should think of nothing else. From whatever the mind wanders due to its flickering and unswaying nature, one must certainly withdraw it and bring it under the control of the self. The yogi whose mind is fixed on me verily attains the highest perfection of transcendental happiness. He is beyond the mode of passion. He realizes his qualitative identity with the Supreme, and thus he is freed from all reactions to past deeds. Thus, the self-controlled yogi, constantly engaged in yoga practice, becomes free from all material contamination and achieves the highest stage of perfect happiness in transcendental loving service to the Lord. A true yogi observes me in all beings and also sees every being in me. Indeed, the self-realized person sees me, the same Supreme Lord, everywhere. For one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I am never lost, and nor is he ever lost to me. Such a yogi who engages in wonderful, worshipful service to the Supreme, knowing that I and the Supersoul are one, remains always in me in all circumstances, right? So we had read up until here, verse number 31. Right? Any reflections, any questions on what we have done? what I read so far before we go into verse number 32? Any thought that struck your mind? Anything that reminded? And Vindyavali Mataji Dandavat Pranam, Varshana Mataji Dandavat
Mataji. Please go ahead. Hare Krishna Mataji. The last one, me, I and super soul. So I means here Lord Krishna is telling us, it's telling that I means Lord Krishna, right?
Yes. And he's saying that he and the super soul are one and the same.
Same. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Mataji, it gives, I'm a little breathless, but it gives a lot of assurance Krishna is giving that, you see, if you are devoted towards him, then he's never lost to us, and we are also not lost to him. He's always with us. It is such a, you see, assurance. And then in the 10th chapter in Chaturshloki Bhagavad Gita also, Krishna says the
Chaturshloki Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita?
Bhagavad Gita.
Bhagavad Gita. No, they're both. Both are there.
Yeah, both are there.
Yeah.
Bhagavad Gita also, Mataji, there also Krishna is giving such a assurance. And then in that shloka, in that also he gives us so much of assurance. I mean, after knowing all this, if we do not follow the path shown to us by him, then I think that is our mistake, and we are at fault. Hare Krishna.
That's a good realization. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Anything else?
In text 9, Mataji, where it says that if you're considered to be advanced, if you treat everyone with an equal mind, which is like very, very hard to do, because sinners, enemies, friends, well-wishers, everyone you treat with an equal mind, that requires so much advancement, and it's not possible for me, at least at this point, I feel, but
Yeah, at
trying.
the point of time, maybe if you add that
Yeah.
clause, then maybe that is correct, but it is possible, right? It is possible. Yeah. And what does the verse before that tell you? What kind of equality is that?
Control the mind, Mataji.
No. The verse before that. Before the one that
When he sees everything the same. Is that what you mean? Pebbles, gold.
What's the difference between 8 and 9?
Well, in 8, it's saying that the yogi is in perfect transcendence and he is fully self-realized. So that's when he sees everything the same.
Okay. And then
yeah, but then 9 also is kind of the same, that he's considered advanced if he sees all these different kinds of people with an equal mind.
Right.
So I don't know the difference.
Yeah, I'll tell you. So one thing to keep in mind as we go through chapter 6 of Bhagavad Gita is that he talked about yoga rura, yoga rukshu, right?
Yeah.
And right in the beginning itself, he's talking about beginners and non-beginners, right? So advanced and non-advanced, right? So let me bring that up.
That's in text 4, it says, I think.
Exactly, right? So he's saying for one who's a neophite, work is set. So he started talking about elevation and neophyte, yoga rukshu and yoga rura, like that. He's mentioning that. And then as we go through this whole chapter, the whole chapter is actually talking about the progress in devotional service and also progress in dhyana yoga, right? So if it is a progress throughout, if you keep that in mind that it's a progress, then then there should be a progression between 8 and 9 as well, right? As we are going. So here in 8, the difference between 8 and 9 is that 8 is dealing with inanimate objects, and 9 is dealing with animate objects. So it's very, which is easier, to deal with animate or to deal with inanimate?
No, we are usually with animate.
Do you have any inanimate in your life?
Um,
What is inanimate? Let's first address that.
something that has no life.
Okay, so do we have things around us that don't have any life?
Yeah, everything, a lot
Yes.
of things.
Right.
Clothes, jewelry, this, that.
Right. If you look around your house, how many animate are there that you can see? Maybe 2, maybe 3, right? 4 or 5, like that. But the inanimate are so many, like there's 6 chairs and a dining table. The utensils, the spoons, the cups, plates, right? They're all inanimate. Jewelry, right? There could be crockery made of glass and jewelry made of gold, right? So at the lower level, he will consider that, okay, if a glass is made of gold, that is fine, okay. And if the glass is made of ceramic, that's also okay. He's not striving for like, I need a glass of gold, I need a glass of gold. If somebody gives him an earthenware pot to drink water, he's happy with that, right? He's at that stage. But then when the interactions start coming, right? And so when the living beings around us come into our life, right? That is where 9 is coming, because the way different people will interact with us will be different, right?
Yeah.
Some will be our friends and don't care, right? Some are envious, some are enemies, some are friends. So now what we always do is that we reciprocate in a manner, according to ye yatha mam prapadyante, right? The way they reacted for that, right? The way they react to us, we react to them themselves in the same way, right? Now, and it is okay. Externally, like it doesn't mean like, the snake is our enemy and lion is our enemy. Maybe a pet dog is not our enemy. So you can pat and pet a domestic dog, but just because then just because a lion also is a soul inside a body doesn't mean you start petting the lion or start petting a snake, right? So when we talk about considering, when we are considering them to be and looking at them with an equal mind, we are focusing on the fact that they are the soul. They all have got the soul, right? So if I know this person is an enemy, it doesn't mean that I will start to behave with the enemy as if they are my friend, which basically means that if you think that the thieves are our enemies, then we will close the door in the night, right? Before going to sleep, we won't leave it open, right? But if you realize that everybody in my village is my friend, then I can go to sleep with my doors open also, right? So the way you behave with them could be different. Socially, they could be different, but what you are thinking inside of you, right? What you're thinking inside of you is what makes the biggest difference. And this is what they're saying, that a person is considered still further advanced when he regards honor, vessels, affectionate benefactors, all this thing, and then with an equal mind. So from the inside, he's saying, and this is a very interesting verse that you bring in because it's going to be connected to the verse from today. So he's saying your behavior is the same, right? Behavior in the same, like internally for you will still see an enemy also as a soul. And that is why you'll be able to preach to your enemy also. And you'll be able to think good things about your enemy as well, right? So keep that in mind. Or again, sometimes even the external behavior will be the same. For example, I gave gross examples of enemies like a lion or a snake, like that. But then what about human beings? Like if there are two
Humans, yeah,
beings and
they
they
are
are
our
friends,
greatest, we come
right?
across them.
Right. So you come across more, right? You interact more with human beings and less with lions, right? In your day-to-day lives. So then you have friends and enemies. Now it's so both are human beings. So the species is the same, right? And you see the same species, the same soul is inside them. So externally you will behave same. You will greet them same, right? You won't say that, oh, this is my enemy, I won't say namaste, or I won't say Hare Krishna. You will still say the same to them, even externally as well, right? And internally, well, you can say that, okay, this is my, this person is, you might even have compassion for that person and say that this person is behaving inimical to me because he's suffering from whatever, it could be envy that they are behaving that way to you, right? So good point. Yeah. Anything else? Anybody else? What else did you learn about yoga? So where is the tip of your nose? From this chapter, what did we learn? Where is the tip of our nose? I seem like a kindergarten teacher. Touch the tip of your nose, please, students. Is that the is this the tip? This means you didn't hear my lecture.
This one has a tip, but middle of the between the two eyebrows is
This is the tip.
that as a tip.
Yeah. According to Shastra, this is the tip.
This is
and that is why here they are saying that you concentrate on the tip of the nose. Doesn't mean here. It means here. And in chapter number 8, bhruvar madhre, right? Bhruvar madhre, bhruva means the eyebrow. So in between the eyebrows, this is where the tip of the nose is, right? According to the Shastric.
Oh, here, Mataji, sorry, I was not.
Maybe you were not there in that class.
Here, Mataji, here's the tip of the nose.
Tip of the nose. Like, take a triangle. This is a triangle. The top apex of the triangle is the tip of the nose, right? Okay. So, what else did we learn?
Mataji, one just clear my doubt, Mataji.
Okay.
Kṛṣṇa says that I am in every atom.
Oh, this is why. This is why you are not listening to my mind. I'm muted. I'm blabbling here and you didn't.
Okay. Let Varshana Mataji complete.
Go ahead. There.
I'm in every atom. Then Mataji, every atom means whatever metal is also there and the stones are also there. So,
yes,
he's in that also. So, like you see, if I serve, of course, it is Kṛṣṇa will consider it equally. If you give a glass of water in a steel glass or in a golden glass, for him it is, you see, like Vidur when he went, he served him very simple food, whereas Duryodhana had served him in a golden plates, and then you see he did not take it. So how do we consider this, Mataji, that it is in every, Kṛṣṇa is in every atom?
How to consider that Kṛṣṇa is in, I did not understand your question. Can you elaborate a bit on that?
Mataji, my question is, when we say that these things are material and these things are material, then Kṛṣṇa is there in every atom. So I should consider this, that Kṛṣṇa is in every glass also, in every this thing also. So can I consider that?
Absolutely. Absolutely, we should consider. And that is why you see in India, we respect inanimate objects also very much. For example, if you're loading the dishes in the dishwasher, how do you close the door of the dishwasher? With your hand or with your feet?
Hand.
I've seen many people do with feet.
Do it with the feet.
Right. How do you close the door of the oven?
With the hand.
Right. So because we know that Kṛṣṇa is there in every atom, we will give it some respect. Okay. Now comes a question that whenever I'm going to offer something to Kṛṣṇa, should I offer it in a silver or should I offer it in a stainless steel glass? Right. Now we are giving. Okay. So then it is not. So then when you're giving, it's about what are you giving? So I am giving, I'm expending, my hard-earned money, I'm spending in getting a silver glass in which I will never drink. It will be all for Kṛṣṇa. Nobody will be allowed to drink in it, only for Kṛṣṇa. So Kṛṣṇa will see that, right? So what Kṛṣṇa is seeing is that how much of love and affection you are investing in this. So, and especially when you offer the bhoga to Kṛṣṇa, right? When you offer the bhoga to Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa is looking not for the varieties of the food. That's why Duryodhan ka meva tyaga. Shaks vidurgar khayo, right? So Duryodhan gave him such nice food to eat. And he left it. Why? Because what was missing? Love and affection was missing. On the other hand, there was so much of love and affection in what Vidura's wife was offering to him. Like that. So Kṛṣṇa is hungry for love. And so he liked that, right? So similarly, when you go and spend hard-earned money and purchasing a silver bowl that I want to give food to Kṛṣṇa and this, why are you doing it? Because you love him, right? So it is that love that is coming, although in every atom Kṛṣṇa is there. He's there in silver atoms, he's there in iron atoms as well. Stainless steel. Like that, right? So always keep that in mind, that and that's why Kṛṣṇa has made it so simple. Patram pushpam phalam toya.
Oh, yeah.
Chapter 9, right? Like that. Yeah. Vindhyavali Mataji.
About mind, in this, the 34th sloka, Chanchalam hi mana Kṛṣṇa pramati balavad dridham. That one, the mind is restless, turbulent, obstinate, and very strong. And the Kṛṣṇa and so subdued it, I think, is more difficult than controlling the mind.
You like that verse?
I like that. And the other one, Kṛṣṇa replying, he says, mighty armed son of Kunti, it is undoubtedly very difficult to curb the restless mind. But it is possible by suitable practice and by detachment.
That's right.
That is the main thing. I just like that. I'm trying my best.
Good.
When I chant and when I do some slokas or something, I have a Kṛṣṇa picture in front of me because I don't want my mind to go here and there. I want to concentrate on that picture and then see lotus feet. I want to do it. That is one. Another sloka, you were saying that winter and cold. What is it? Sitoshna sukha duḥkhada ātmaupamyena. What is the sloka, Mataji?
That is on chapter 2.
Chapter 2.
Yeah, chapter 2.
Yeah, suddenly I remember that sloka.
Good, now you remembered, okay? You always say that I don't remember slokas.
No.
No, that will be happy. Sutapa.
Mataji, now after hearing this one, that Kṛṣṇa is in every atom, means I have to be very mindful every moment, because sometimes, a pot, like it's an empty pot, I took out the plant and threw it, and so I kept it. So sometimes I just pushed that pot with my leg, so I did it very wrong.
Well, that is why it's a good consciousness to be in, because that way you're thinking about Kṛṣṇa all the time, and that's what we want you to do, right? Now, if you think that I'm being very pure by not kicking this and not kicking that, then how will you ever walk on this floor, on this side? Because that is Kṛṣṇa also, right? So the way, and so, Kṛṣṇa, when we walk on earth, which is Kṛṣṇa, of course, by that definition, Kṛṣṇa will take it as, if a child walks on us, children can kick us also, we don't mind. When the just small child comes and kicks us, sometimes they'll come beat us and all that, we take it in with a love and affection. So he takes that. However, from our side, we should be very mindful. So the first thing that we do, remember I had told you all that when you step off from the bed and before you put your foot there, Samudra Vasane Devi Parvasthan Mandale
Parvatastana Mandale
Vishnu Patni Namastubhyam
Namastubhyam.
Padasparsha Shamasvame.
Shamasvame.
Padasparsha Shamasvame means I'm going to touch
Just
you.
now I was just thinking of the sloka.
Good, yeah. So I'm touching you with my feet, so please pardon me. So that brings in a very different kind of a mood and a different kind of a consciousness.
Consciousness.
Right? Otherwise, Hiranyakashipu also used to walk. Right? And in the Bhagavatam, it is defined how he used to walk. And Mother Earth used to tremble. Like that, right? So it's all about our moods.
Yeah.
And then for those of us who are reading Bhagavad Gita chapter 9 these days, right? Kṛṣṇa talks about this material world, right? And that it is created. I'm just trying to bring that up here. And it's in the beginning itself, yeah.
Unfinished knowledge.
Yeah, the number 9, where he says he's udasin. Right? Let me share that words here.
Idam tutte guhyatmam pravakṣyami anasushana.
So here, when we are looking at Bhagavad Gita 9.9, she said, Nachamam tani karmani nibadnanti dhananjaya udasinavat asitam asaktam teshu karmashu. So he's saying, well, all this work cannot bind me. So let's see what is all this work he's talking about, right? So he must have talked about that in before 9, right? That's why he's saying all this work. So let's go back and look, right? So here, the verse, the point that you had raised, Bashana Mataji, he's saying here, by me, in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. Okay?
Yeah.
And what does that mean, right? And yet everything that is created does not rest in me. Behold my mystic opulence. Although I am the maintainer of all living entities, and although I am everywhere, I am not a part of this cosmic manifestation, for myself is the very source of creation. Understand that as the mighty wind blowing everywhere rests always in the sky, all created beings rest in me. O son of Kunti, at the end of the millennium, all material manifestations enter into my nature, and at the beginning of another millennium, by my potency, I create them again. The whole cosmic order is under me. This is important. The whole cosmic order is under me. Under my will, it is automatically manifested again and again, and under my will, it is annihilated at the end. O Dhananjay, all this work cannot bind me. I am ever detached from all this material activity, seated although neutral. Right? So he's there, he's here, he's there, he's everywhere, but then he's still neutral, right? So then how come all these things are happening if he is not connected with all these things, right? So in the very next verse, he's saying, this material nature, which is one of my energies, is working under my direction, O son of Kunti, producing all moving and non-moving things. Under its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. So Kṛṣṇa says that he has delegated that information to somebody else to go and do it. So he's not very much attached, and he's out of it in that sense. When he says everything doesn't rest in me, somebody might say, how come everything doesn't rest in me? You showed us the picture of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. He was lying in the Garbhodak ocean. From his navel, the stem was coming, and in the stem are the planty system. So am I not resting in him like that? So yes, that way you are resting in him, but then he's not on day-to-day connected, in the sense that a child may rest on their mother, be dependent on the mother. Mother has to take care of each and everything directly, right? So Kṛṣṇa will not take things directly to you, right? Kṛṣṇa might speak to you, speak to you through somebody else's mouth. Kṛṣṇa might, get some of his work done through somebody else. So somebody else's hands might do something that Kṛṣṇa wants to do. Somebody's feet might go and walk and go to some place and do something where Kṛṣṇa would have walked and gone and do. That's why in the Ishopanishad, you see, he says here, I have got thousands and thousands of hands and thousands of legs, right? It says, and so that is how it happens, right? And he acts through all these created beings that are there. Okay? But he is udasina, but he doesn't, he's created that. That's entirely up to you.
This sloka 11 is also in that chapter 9.11.
Yeah, but sloka 11 is not, but sloka 11 is not relevant to what we are talking. So 11 is different, right? So, so to answer your question that, is he everywhere? Yes. Should I be careful of things? Yes, because that will bring in Kṛṣṇa consciousness and constant memorization of, memorization of Kṛṣṇa, or memory of Kṛṣṇa will bring Kṛṣṇa's memory to you if you get into that kind of a habit of doing things, right? And then, of course, our mood should be such that even if you're stepping on Mother Earth in the morning, we should just say that, Kṛṣṇa, I'm going to do this and everything. For example, like suppose you have to pull a carrot from your garden to offer it to Kṛṣṇa. Then people do that. They go to the tree, they do a little prayer and say, hey, I'm going to pluck a fruit from you. It's going to hurt you. Thank you so much. I'm going to offer you. So that way you you constantly go there and you constantly remember Kṛṣṇa in everything, in every walk of your life, like that. So, and a very interesting thing is that Kṛṣṇa also incarnates, right? And Kṛṣṇa incarnates in every species of life. Can you imagine? He's there in every species of life. And what I don't know is that do those, and I'm still trying to find out, is that do those species know that Kṛṣṇa is there, that this is Kṛṣṇa? Just as, when Kṛṣṇa comes here, the devotees know that this is Kṛṣṇa's avatar and all that. Like if he takes an avatar in the horses, right? He came as Hayagriva. He came as a horse, right? So if he comes as a horse, then do the other horses know that he's Krishna? Like that. They do behave in a certainly different way, which we see that in the Brahma Vimohan Leela, where Brahma, had hidden all the cows and calves and all the gwalas and the calves of Krishna. And then Krishna expanded and became those calves and became those gwalas, right? And their parents actually did some extra love. The cows would give extra love to these calves who's actually expansion of Krishna. And then also extra love to the mothers would give extra love to these gwalas, right? And so it happens naturally. So because somebody just said, oh, that means that he also incarnates in an ant. And if he incarnates in an ant, then am I going to step on him? As I'm walking, there's so many ants that I step on them. They're going to step on Krishna also. And then so we were having this discussion, and then another devotee said, well, you know what? Sometimes when you're walking and you stumble for no reason at all, well, that's when you are about to step on Krishna in that species. But that was just a joke they were saying. Yeah, so the idea, Satapa Mataji, is to do anything and everything possible so that we can remember Krishna throughout. So, and these are some of the ways that you can think. Like he's going to say in future chapters, Rasoham apsukanteya, I'm the taste of water. What does that mean? I'm the taste of water, right? That's, whenever you're drinking water, you remember Krishna. So he's telling Arjuna so many ways that, people who are not into deity worship or into Krishna like that, they're still trying to figure out who Krishna is. And here are some of the ways that you can still think about me and you can still remember me like that, right? Okay, so what else did we hear in this chapter? Chapter 6. We also talked about where everybody should go, right? If they have to do the yoga practice, where should they go?
Secluded
An
place.
isolated, secluded place.
Yeah, and then what are the other things you need?
Lay down on the
Balcony
kusha grass,
The
with a
grass.
soft cloth,
And then
cover the
what is
cloth with
underneath the cloth?
deer skin.
Deer skin, like that, right? And you should hold your body, right? And then what about eating, sleeping?
Not too much or
Not
less
too
of
much of
anything.
eating
Not
and
too much and not too
not
little, right? Okay. And then he started talking about the mind that is getting fixed. So you see, slowly, the yogi is advancing. So he's saying now, as a lamp in a windless place, very important, does not waver. So the transcendentalist whose mind is controlled remains steady in the meditation of the transcendental self, right? And then, of course, it talks about giving up our material desires as we progress. Okay. And then the last few verses, actually, what we have been talking about as a yogi also advancing, right? And so in the first page, yogi is going to see the Atma, and then he can see the effulgence, right, of Krishna, and then he sees Paramatma, like that, right? And then in last week's verse, he said he brought in and that's something even higher than a Paramatma. And he's still using the word yogi there, right? So yogi just doesn't mean a person who meditates on the Paramatma in his hand. He's saying such a yogi. So still a yogi means to connect. So that's why he can use the word yogi here. He's saying in verse 31, he's saying that he engages in the worshipful service to the super soul. So he's worshipping the Paramatma. But what does he know? He knows that I and the super soul are the same. So he has got that understanding that Krishna and Vishnu are the same. The Vishnu is an expansion of Krishna, like that, right? So gradually the expansion is happening. And then in today's verse, which is text number 32, Krishna is going to say, ātmaupamyena sarvatra samam paśyati Arjuna sukhaṁ va yadi va duḥkhaṁ sa yogī paramo mataḥ. ātmaupamyena sarvatra samam paśyati Arjuna sukhaṁ va yadi va duḥkhaṁ sa yogī paramo mataḥ. ātmaupamyena sarvatra samam paśyati Arjuna sukham va yadi va duḥkham sa yogī paramo mataḥ. So very interesting thing. ātmaupamyena sounds like a difficult word. Atma is actually a mixture, right? Mix Atma with the self āupamyena, by comparison. Aupam comes from upma, right? Upma means to compare, right? And not the upma that we eat, the South Indian dish, but upma as in comparison, Sanskrit word. Sarvatra, everywhere. Samam, equally. Paśyati, sees. Yaha, he who. Arjuna, O Arjun. Sukham, happiness. Va, or. Yadi, if. Va, or. Duḥkhaṁ, distress. Saha, such. Yogī, a transcendentalist. Paramaḥ, perfect. Mataḥ, considered. So he is a perfect yogi who, by comparison to his own self, sees the true equality of all beings in both their happiness and their distress, O Arjuna. One who is Krishna conscious, purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. One who is Krishna conscious is a perfect yogi. Okay, now before I go into the purport, I just wanted to also maintain the connection that we're trying to have, right? So you find the Paramatma, then you realize that, oh, super soul and Krishna are one and the same. And then you go further. And so what do you do? By comparison to their own self, to ourselves, we see the true equality of all beings in both their happiness and distress. So Kamal Radhe Mataji in the beginning of this today's session was talking about, in the early verses in this chapter, that the people see gold and stone as equal. They see friends and enemies as equal. Right? Now what they're saying is they see the true equality of beings in both in their happiness and their distress. And so Prabhupada is going to go deeper to explain what exactly does it mean to see people equally in their happiness and in their distress, both, right? So one who is Krishna conscious is a perfect yogi. He is aware of everyone's happiness and distress by dint of his own personal experience. This is very important, own personal experience. The cause of the distress of a living entity is forgetfulness of his relationship with God. And the cause of happiness is knowing Krishna to be the supreme enjoyer of all the activities of the human being, the proprietor of all lands and planets, and the sincerest friend of all living entities. The perfect yogi knows that the living being who is conditioned by the modes of material nature is subjected to the threefold material miseries due to forgetfulness of his relationship with Krishna. And because one in Krishna consciousness is happy, he tries to distribute the knowledge of Krishna everywhere. Since the perfect yogi tries to broadcast the importance of becoming Krishna conscious, he is the best philanthropist in the world and is the dearest servitor of the Lord. Nacha tasman manushyesu kaschin me priya-kṛttamaḥ. Bhagavad Gita 18.69. In other words, a devotee of the Lord always looks to the welfare of all living entities, and in this way he is factually the friend of everyone. He is the best yogi because he does not consider perfection in yoga for his personal benefit, but he tries for others also. He does not envy his fellow living entities. Here is a contrast between a pure devotee of the Lord and a yogi interested only in his personal elevation. The yogi who has withdrawn to a secluded place in order to meditate perfectly may not be as perfect as a devotee who is trying to his best to turn every man into Krishna consciousness. Om Tat Sat. Okay, so reflections, what you heard. Unmute yourself and tell me. No thoughts, no comments? Are you all speaking on mute?
In this purport, Prabhupada has described the difference between the cause of happiness and the cause of distress. So if we keep that in mind all the time, that the cause of distress is that are being always subjected to the three modes of material nature.
Right.
And if we are able to transcend that and always know that Krishna he is the supreme, then we will always be happy. But it's very hard again, Shraddha Mata.
You throw the hard word out of your dictionary. It is not hard. You can do it. The soul is very powerful. Right? So, Give me 1 second here.
Mataji, you just told that the soul is very powerful.
Mm.
Can you explain a little bit more?
Well, when I say this, because number one, the soul is a part and parcel of
Kṛṣṇa.
Kṛṣṇa, right? So Kṛṣṇa is powerful. So the connection is there with a powerful source, number one. Number two, the soul is spiritual in nature and not material. And the spiritual is always more powerful than the material.
Yeah.
Spirit is powerful than material. So when I'm saying the soul is very powerful, this means that the soul will have control over the mind. Now, there is a hierarchy of control that we talk about, right? Famous hierarchy of control. Lowest of all is dull matter.
Dull matter.
Then go ahead. Above the dull matter is the
Senses.
senses. And above the senses is the
Mind.
mind. Above the mind
Intelligence.
Intelligence.
is above the intelligence is the
Is mind intelligence.
above intelligence is the
Mm.
ego. Above the mind is
Intelligence.
yes, above the intelligence is the soul. Above the soul is the super soul, right?
Super soul.
You know that, right? Right? So when we say the soul is very powerful, Sutapa Mataji, it is above the mind. And so it is Sukomal Radhe Mataji's mind that keeps telling her that it is not possible. It's very difficult. It's very hard. Who's saying that negative thought? Mind.
Mind.
Right? And so that's why I told her that the soul is very strong.
Above them.
Soul can overcome the mind as well.
So Mataji, then mind is telling that yes, we cannot do this, we cannot do that.
Yes.
And then how soul will control that thought? How soul will have
Practice. By practice, yeah. See, like remember the other day I was saying that the mind is nothing but a factory of thoughts. Right? So if you like, for example, there's a child, right? There's a child and you're training the child. Okay? And what are you training? What are you training the child? You are training the child every time you're just training, and you're telling the child that if you see an ant, you take out your slipper and then slap the ant. You kill it. Right? So 1 time, 2 time, 3 time, 4 time you tell. Right? So all these impressions are getting stored in that child's mind. The next time when the ant comes by itself, what will the child do?
Kill the ant.
Right? Take out the chappal and back smack. The ant will be dead. Right now. Okay. Now, after these 5 lessons that you gave, now for 6th lesson, you say, no, that's not what you're going to do. If you find an ant on the floor, don't kill it. Okay? Don't kill it. Don't kill it. Right? So then that gets there, etched in the mind. And the next time the ant comes in front of the child, the mind has got 5 times was told that, kill it. And 1 time was told, not to do that. So there are chances the mind is going to present the bigger one, right? Okay, so many times I was told to kill, then kill it. The mind will present that thought, right? So now if we keep on telling the child again and again, stop telling the child to kill and keep on telling the child that do not kill the ant, do not kill the ant. At some point in time, the number of times you told the mind that it is bad to kill or do not kill will become more. So the mind then becomes your friend, because now the mind will start giving you that, because mind works on algorithm. The more time I have been told about something, that is the right thing to do. And that's the right recommendation. That's a recommendation I should give. Okay. And that's why in a very different manner, we also talk about mind with bad thoughts is like a black color ink pot. And how do you clean that ink pot from black ink? You start putting some white color ink into it. And you keep on putting the white ink till all the black ink is going to disappear. One day that ink pot is going to be all completely white, right? So how are you going to go and tell the child that you should not kill? After all, we were telling the child 5 times, you told the child you should kill an ant. Now how are you going to tell the child? How will we learn, right? We will learn from scriptures. We will learn from association, by living and being friends with people who don't kill ants, right? Listening to gurus who tell you don't kill ants. That is how we will be bringing up better suggestions for our mind and improving or cleansing the algorithms that are there in the mind, right? And as you progress, you yourself progress, then one thing is that, okay, if an ant is walking on the floor, kill it. Ant is walking on the floor, do not kill it. And then ant is walking on the floor, pick up the ant and put it in a place where nobody else can kill it, right? So you see how this expands and how it grows. And why are you doing that? Why are we so careful about the ant? Because we see the same super soul in the ant as well as in us, right? And there's a story in Srimad Bhagavatam about how Jad Bharat had a difficult time walking because he did not want to step on the ants on the floor. Like that. So again, practice. And to the 2 verses that Nevali Mataji said she likes, which were much ahead in the chapter, is Chanchalam Himana Kṛṣṇa. Arjuna is saying, and Arjuna is such a powerful person, right? He's such a powerful warrior. And he is saying that I'm not able to control the mind. So what to talk about us, right? And he knows everything. He has done yoga. He's been taught by best of the teachers. And he's saying that. So when he says that, then, what do I do then? Right? But then Kṛṣṇa is saying through suitable practice and through detachment, right? The more we get detached from certain things, then other good things are automatically going to come to us. It is only through practice it will come, or some saint comes and blesses you and touches your head, and then everything gets going, right? So that's a rare thing. So that's why we keep on practicing bhakti yoga. Keep on. Shunvatam swakatha Kṛṣṇa. Punya Shravana Kirtanaha. Hridaya anthasto hi abhadrani. Vidhunoti sruvatsatam. So by listening to Krishna Katha, all the dirt and the material things which are there cluttering in our heart, they go away. It's a fact. They will go away. Right? We know the classic story of Haridas Thakur and the prostitute, right? In Tamani. Like that. So does that answer your question, Sitavanti?
Yes, Mataji, thank you.
Okay. So so going back to our verse. Yeah, so for our Varshana Mataji, to our Sukumal Radhi Mataji, here's a picture I would like to share with you.
Oh,
Right? So here. What is this saying? Okay, to continue. Okay, here. See, this is what the soul thinks. The soul in a material body thinks that soul is like this. But when you see what the soul is, this is what the soul is. See? So what might appear hard for this one is not hard for this at all. Right? So throw away that thing from your dictionary and say, I can do it. Why can I do it? Because I will request Kṛṣṇa to help me do it. I have faith that my Kṛṣṇa will do it, right?
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
I do have the faith, Mataji.
Tell me once again about that line and in the mirror, the line.
There's a mirror. There is a cat who's looking into the mirror, and in the mirror actually sees the lion. So we think that we are cats, but we are actually lion, right? We say, "Mujse ye nahi hota, mujse wo nahi hota." Maya bahut strong hai, no. You can fight Maya. You can overcome Maya. You can do it. You just have to first do the willing. That will has to come, right? And if you say, I don't have that faith, then faith will come by associating with people who have that faith. So go and find those people, right? If you can't find them, pray to Kṛṣṇa to send those people your way, and he'll do that, like that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Mataji.
All right. See, give me a hearty yes, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
Not a tired
Yes, I was to say, Mataji, I do have the faith. I do have the faith.
You have the faith. Yeah, very good. Yeah. Okay. So we can do it. Mind. See how powerful the mind is. There was this story that there was this Kṛṣṇa Katha I was listening to some ISKCON devotee. I'm forgetting the name. So they said there was this refrigerated, these railway sometimes food is transported through the train also, right? So this train will have compartments which are completely like freezer, right? They're like the cold like freezer because food inside has to be frozen, right? And taken in a frozen manner, vaccines and things like that. So one day a man, so when you go inside these freezing kind of compartments, you have to be very careful that, somebody should be there outside to open the door, and you should be able to come out of it, because these doors open from outside only, they can't open from inside. And so one day a man went there to do something, to fix something in one of the compartments which was there. The train was in a halt, and he had gone there to fix that compartment, and then the door closed, and he just, then realized that, oh, the shift has ended, nobody's there now to take me out of it. And then he said, how am I going to survive? How am I going to survive inside this refrigerator for such a long time? And then he knew about the human biology, that if you put a human body in a cold climate, then the first hour, this is going to happen, second hour, this is going to happen, third hour, this is going to happen, sixth hour, you'll die, right? My body is going to freeze, and that kind of stuff. So then, of course, next day, when they opened the compartment, they found him dead inside, right? After 9 hours. Except for the fact that there was a hole in that compartment, and the temperature inside was not cold at all. Over a period of time, the temperature had actually come to the outside temperature. But because in his mind, he was thinking it's very cold inside, that he even gave up his life. So that is how powerful the mind is. And what I'm saying is that mind can be controlled by the soul. Otherwise, mind has got very fierce demon-like qualities. But what you can do is that every time, an iron will become like fire if you keep on touching it with fire, right? So every time you realize that my mind is not in my control, my mind is wavering here and there, I need to bring it under control. So every time you find it wavering, you say, okay, fine, I'm going to think about Kṛṣṇa. I'm going to think about one Krishna's pastime. I'm going to recite one Hare Krishna mantra this time. So what's going to happen is that you're touching the fire again and again. So you will get transcendentalized. So then transcendental senses are different, right? They don't go after the material things. So this is what today's verse is also saying, that when a person compares, and this is this is an advanced yogi. This is an advanced yogi who is in touch with the divinity. And the advanced yogi in his own life, could have been a materialistic person and could have gone after materialistic things, right? And so having run after the materialistic thing, this person knows that the sufferings that I had because of running after material things, what were the suffering? He knows that, right? And then also because of now having been connected to the Lord, he also knows about the happiness that you get, right? And then he knows that, we are searching. And then ātmaupamyena, that is, he compares it and sees his similarity with others as well. So which basically means that when he sees that others are indulging in material life, others are suffering because of their material life, right? He does not condemn them. He, from his comparison with his own self, remembers that I also used to do the same thing. I know what that pain is, right? And by the way, I also now know the joy of connecting to Kṛṣṇa. So now what the person wants to do is to share that joy with that other person. Because if you say I care for everybody, why? Because I've read Bhagavad Gita, Mame Vancho Jeevalo, okay, there's Kṛṣṇa everywhere, and we read in the Friday class that Kṛṣṇa is in the atom also. So this guy has got so many atoms and it's all Kṛṣṇa, right? And I care for that person. Right? So now, suppose you're sitting down and you're eating a sandwich, and somebody comes there, and you say, I care for that person, and that person comes and says that I'm hungry, and then you continue to eat your sandwich without offering them a piece of it, right? So when you really care for people, then you will want to share with them, right? Because sharing is caring. Right? When you share things with people, then you are really caring for them. So similarly, these people who are advanced, right? And what does Kṛṣṇa say? That a person who does such a thing is the best. So now you see on the yoga ladder also, now he's telling the best, right? And than to use the term bestest, which is not in the English
Bestest.
grammar.
Yeah.
Bestest. Who is the bestest? He's going to tell in 6.47. He's saying that, okay, all this and all that is fine, but the yogi who thinks about me, right? Thinks about Kṛṣṇa as in me, he says that that is the best yogi. Right? Uttama mataḥ. That is my thing, right? So the gradual elevation of a yogi is mentioned here. That first step is that, you think that you are spiritual. That is good. Even that doesn't happen now, right? We don't think that we are spiritual. We don't behave as if we think that we are material, right? So the first step is that you see yourself as spiritual. The second is that you see others also as spiritual. That is further advancement, right? Like if there's good, then this is better, right? So if I'm thinking that I am spiritual, then I come to this class and I see, oh yeah, Simi Mataji is also spiritual. Oh, Madhav Sangini is also there. Sutapa is also spiritual. Sukumal Radha is also spiritual. Varshana Mataji is also spiritual. And Vindhyavali Mataji is also spiritual. Everybody is spiritual. All my friends are spiritual, right? Like that. But then, so that is better, right? Not just me, others also. And then you will behave like that with your friends as well, friends and family. But then the even bigger thing to do there is that you see everyone as spiritual. Everyone means, going back to the 6th chapter, in the beginning of the 6th chapter, friends and enemies, moderators and neutrals, all of them, well-wishers, right? All of them, we are seeing them as spiritual, right? So those people who are saintly in nature, right? They know that, it is because of disconnection of the souls with Kṛṣṇa, they are suffering. And they want to elevate the sufferings of these people. And that is why Prahlad Maharaj also says in the 7th canto, that when Narasimha Dev has appeared before him, and he says that, I don't want to go back. I want to stay here with these, as Prabhupada translates, fools and rascals, because I want to take them also back to God, right?
Mm.
So when you realize, here's the interesting thing, and this is to do with the with our preaching culture and our preaching spirit, and that is that once you realize that you are a soul, right? You become self-realized and you realize that you're a soul, then you do not renounce this material world. So once you realize you're spiritual, do not renounce the spiritual world. Instead, once you realize you're spiritual, do not realize this material world, right? Do not renounce this material world. Instead, bring the spiritual into this material world. So bring Kṛṣṇa consciousness to others. Instead of saying that I realize I'm Kṛṣṇa conscious, I realize I'm a soul, and all those others have not realized it, so I better stay away from them. I have nothing to do with Asinavat. I have nothing to do with them. No. Right? Here, this verse is saying that, you will see equality, that they are like you. They are right now in distress, but so were you before you came into Kṛṣṇa consciousness. So go out and then you go and help us, right? So as we advance in our philosophical knowledge, in our devotional knowledge, in our spiritual knowledge, right? So that increase in our spiritual knowledge, right, should not result in your sensitivity to others decreasing. Saying like, why do I care? Simi Mataji is going through problems. Who do I care? It's a material body. Even she's not. She's just thinking she's going through problems. Oh, Vindhyavali Mataji is going through problems. Who cares about that? I think Vindhyavali Mataji is reacting unnecessarily. She doesn't realize she is not the body. She's the soul. Not like that. Right? We empathize with them. We understand their pain. And we are there for them. Right? So when we go and do that, right? When we go and do that, then Kṛṣṇa says that is the best. Right? For example, Arjuna. Arjuna is a Kshatriya. Arjuna is a warrior, right? And in the first chapter, Arjuna was telling Kṛṣṇa that I will not fight the war and it's better for me to live like begging, right? And then later on, Kṛṣṇa says that, no, you won't be able to do that because out of your own nature, you will act according to your nature, which basically means that when you go to beg things from people, people might say bad things about you, right? Hey, get a job. Hey, you're nothing better to do. Hey, you lazy bum. They can say anything like that when you go to beg, right? And he's saying they are Kshatriya nature. You're saying I'll go and beg with humility, but the moment somebody insults you, you want to draw your sword and kill that person because you're a Kshatriya, like that, right? So that is not, yeah. But then to that same Arjuna to whom Kṛṣṇa said, get up and fight and kill, right? Don't think that they're just the bodies. They are just bodies and they are actually souls. Don't think they are the bodies. This, that. He told him the whole Bhagavad Gita, right? And after that, when Arjuna goes and agrees to fight, and then when Abhimanyu dies, Kṛṣṇa doesn't go and tell Arjuna that Abhimanyu was just a soul. He's not the body. No. Arjuna was feeling very bad when he lost his son, and Kṛṣṇa empathizes with him. Kṛṣṇa supported him in that. So that is also something we have to remember, that when others are going through distress, we have to understand how it feels for us to be distressed, how it feels when we go through it. How do we feel? Others also feel the same way, right? When we do it. That is the essence of today's verse here. Okay, so I'll stop here with this. Any last comments or reflections?
Thank you, Mataji.
Questions?
Thank you.
Take it there.
Yes, Mataji.
Mataji, one question. You said soul can control the mind, but how?
I answered that also.
By practice.
Okay,
By practice.
Yeah.
Yeah. By practice.
But how? Like, how practice means what? Like we don't even know our soul, so.
You don't have to know your soul. You are the soul.
Okay.
See, that orientation has to change. Not my soul, my body. So you will do that first by speaking it, right? For example, in every country, right? In every country, a person who goes to the military, what they ask them to chant, right? Mera Bharat Mahan, Mera Bharat Mahan, right? Or die for USA. So everybody is told a certain chant in the depending on the country that they are from, right? So by repeating the same thing over and over again, it will get etched in your mind. So if you keep on thinking also that I am not the soul, try to look at things and try to separate yourself from the mind and try to observe the mind. That when the mind keeps on giving you different kinds of thoughts, and mind gives at least 80,000 thoughts or 60,000 thoughts every day, right? So as these thoughts keep going across our horizon, then you try to become an observer. And this will come from practice, and it's going to take time. It's not going to become overnight. It's not going to be an overnight job. So that's one thing that you will do. Second is that you look at others. Like when we were young, our teachers, you used to get essays to write, right? And one of the favorite essays that people was like, oh, write an essay on your role model. And we would go and write, oh, Mahatma Gandhi is my role model, or Chacha Nehru is my role model, Well, there was no Srila Prabhupada. If I knew Srila Prabhupada, I would have written that Srila Prabhupada is my role model, right? So try to get a role model. Try to get a mentor in your life, right? Who's going to tell you, right? And then observe, you practice, observe those who have control. For example, I get very hungry. I need my food. So go sit in the temple on a festival day when people are fasting and just observe. So just by observing others as to how they are not getting up and eating all the time, they are sitting in the class for 7 hours, 8 hours, then we will also try to practice. And it'll be slow practice. In the beginning, it'll be like, okay, I have to eat every half an hour. Okay, how about making it every 1 hour? Okay, day one, it won't become 1 hour. You might at 35 minutes, you want to have food, but that's fine. 35 minutes is not 30 minutes, right? Next day, it can become 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, like that, So slowly through practice, you're going to get that, right? And have conviction and read the Shastras and look at the lives of others and how they behaved, right? And you will get that. Or sometimes Prabhupada, listen to Prabhupada's teaching, or Prabhupada says that, in the old times, if the spiritual master did not tell the student to eat, the student did not eat that day. It's a big thing. It's a big thing not to eat. We will just leave the spiritual master and go and try to find another one. Like that, right? So, and devotee association is very, very important. So when
Prahlad
Yeah, go ahead.
Maharaj's teachings also.
Say that again.
In Prahlad Maharaj's teachings also, Prahlad Maharaj tells, he says to Lord Nrsimhadev, when he prays that those who and sit there and or in the caves, you see, it is of no use, because you see, if you have to preach and I want to bring them with me. That was a wonderful sentence.
Yeah, these fools and rascals, right?
I
That's what I'm
really
saying.
liked it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then here's the interesting thing from in that story of Vratasura in the 6th canto. I'm just going to bring up that verse. In the 6th canto, Vratasura, who's a demon, right? So Vratasura is dying. He was in a fight with Indra and he's dying there. And as he's dying, he's praying this prayer, right? So let me bring up that on the screen here for you. Let me share here. I have quoted this verse several times, but I'll show it to you. Aham harir tav pade kamula dasanudaso bhavitasmi bhuyaha manaha smarita supatir gunamste grinita va karma karotu kayaha. So what is he saying? This is beautiful prayer. O my Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, will I again be able to be a servant of your eternal servants, who find shelter only at your lotus feet. O Lord of my life, may I again become their servant, so that my mind may always think of your transcendental attributes, my words always glorify those attributes, and my body always engage in the loving service of your Lordship. Such a beautiful prayer to sing at the time of death. It's not about, oh Krishna, will I remember you and will I go back to Golok Vrindavan or not, right? Completely dedicated, to serving those who are devotees of the Lord. It's a good prayer to have. It's a good goal to have, right? Because if you are in that life and you are serving the devotees of the Lord, what more happiness do you want in life? Then you don't even care whether you are in heaven or whether you are here on earthly planets, whether you're in Golok Vrindavan or you're not in Golok Vrindavan. You still get a chance to serve the pure devotees of the Lord. That. Anything else? Sukamaladi Mataji, you unmuted yourself. Is there a question here?
No. Nisha was here. That's
okay. All right. So if nothing else, then we'll call it a day on this one. Thank you so much for joining the call, and good luck to you, Sukamaladi Mataji, for your Bhakti Shastra.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpatra kripa sindhu patitanam
Pavanebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Premanande, Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Thank you, Shraddha.
I heard Shloka Mataji. Parvati asked, God, Tulyanam api lavenapi na swargam na punarbhavam bhagavat sanga sangatsya martyanam kim utasisha.
Yes,
the value of moments of association with the devotees of Lord cannot even be compared to the attainment of heavenly planets of liberation from matter, and what to speak of worldly benediction in the form of material prosperity, which are for those who are meant for death.
There you go.
Mataji, this last verse that you read was from where?
That was from
6:11:24.
6:11:24.
Okay.
Beautiful class today.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you.
Thank
so
you very much. I'm missing a lot.
As always.
Every day I'm missing a lot.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
All the
Krishna.
best.